Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I just wanted to take a second to talk to you about 12 Strides and 12 Group Norms for Liberty and Recovery. This is a book by former guest of the show, Asher Azzo. And what it is a deep dive into libertarianism and 12-step philosophy. Not only do you get to learn about how to apply those principles to your very own life, but you also get to see what it looked like for the recovery community going through lockdowns and the COVID hysteria. Also included at the end of the book is a fictional story about a man in recovery searching for his own son. You can find this book on Amazon, paperback, or it's also available on Kindle. I will include the link to the book in the show notes page for this episode, so please go check it out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Clean Libertarian Podcast. And I am recording this early Monday morning. Usually I try to get my editing done on Sunday, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. I ran myself into the ground here lately. Been doing the needle exchange and, work stuff and just constantly going. And on top of that, after talking to a close friend, Mr. Jake Howard, some of y'all remember him being on the show way back when. He is the guy who runs the Sober Swole podcast. But I just kind of, talked to him about some of the struggles I've been having with working out and just not having enough energy. And he said, he looked at my diet and apparently like my caloric intake was way under what it should be. And so, not going to lie, this weekend I kind of fell off the wagon straight up, like pizza, fast food, shitty food, every single meal. And this morning I went to the gym, and this was probably the most smooth workout I've had since I started going to the gym a couple months ago. Nothing felt like it was too much. My form was good on every workout that I did. I just felt a lot more confident. And so I really do think that I need to start upping my calories. And so Jake's got me on this really simple meal plan. Started out this week, actually just woke up a little earlier today so I could have time to, go to the gym, make some breakfast and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm excited, and I don't know if you guys care about that or not, but there it is. I'm throwing it out there into the ether anyway. But anyways, today I have another dad roundtable in store for you guys. Joining us today was Evan, BK, Jay, and JC. Tuck was not able to make it. He had a prior commitment, and that was completely called for. But anyway, this was, if you've listened to any of the other dad roundtables, you already know what's in store. A lot of chaos, a lot of shit talking, but there's a lot of solid conversation that we had as well. And admittedly, towards the end, they started to kind of lose me, but it's not hard to lose somebody riddled with ADD, right? So, but these guys, I love them dearly. These men bring such value to my life. And so, yeah, without any further ado, here is the boys. All right. So, Dad, which one is this? Is this 4? Is this Dad Roundtable 4 or 5?
Fuck,
I should know that, huh? I'm the fucking host.
I was gonna say that you're kind of in charge of this motherfucker.
Right? We are screwed if I don't know, huh? But
I know you got notes, man. Which one are we on?
Oh, let me look here.
5? Shit.
I think it's 5. I think it's got to be 5, man.
Man, I think I only remember 2 of them.
Yeah. They were all good though, man. So, how y'all doing tonight?
I think that's a loaded question, man.
Is it a little bit?
We got pretty sure. Just talking with all you guys recently, we all got a lot on our plates recently. Drew, I know you're busy as fuck, man. And then getting close to the school year coming up. Season summer's winding down. All those projects that you thought oh man, I'm good. I got plenty of fucking time. Now you're looking at everything going, oh, I'm fucked. All right. Yeah. This is coming in the spring.
Yep.
This shit's been going by really quick. I can't believe football season's here for my son, man. It's it feels like yesterday they played their last game, and now he's a junior, and it's going crazy. You know, around here it's nuts.
Are you guys like, is football big there too, like it is in Texas with all the shows and shit?
Oh yeah, dude. It's Friday Night Lights around here, man. Every Friday, it's like a gigantic deal, dude. It's crazy.
So are you gonna put a big sign out in front of your house?
No big sign.
Not gonna go for that, huh?
No, none of this one. Man, so my daughter's trying to get. She plays volleyball. You know, she's been playing recreational, and tried out for their team. They had 150 girls try out for the team, bro.
Holy shit!
Yeah. I don't know what y'all's kids' school system looks like, but man, because man, look, here's the deal. Here's what I think. So they got these like paid leagues, right? Like you got to pay thousands of dollars to get your kid to play some volleyball or whatever. And I think that probably those paid leagues have an in with the coach at the school, you know, and they get presidents or whatever, but we ain't got it. We do not have thousands of dollars to throw into volleyball.
Are you trying to say your kid's not a superstar?
She is she is my daughter, and that's all I'll say. Okay. She is my kid through and through.
Drew says, I'm not paying 10 grand to watch you ride a bench, baby.
I love that little girl to pieces, man. But she's getting there. She has fun though, you know. She has fun. I don't think she's got the competitive gene, right? You know, that thing, that little extra oomph to get you down through there. But
I know what you're talking about, Drew. We had the tornado in soccer this summer, and man, this kid, like, all right, first and foremost, little bastard would stop every like 30 seconds, look over at me, give me a thumbs up or some shit like that. Focus, man. You gotta go for the ball, buddy. You know, and then
that's fucking great, though, man. Ball would
come at him, and he'd just look at it, and then look over at us. Another fucking thumbs up, and I'm like, "Oh, buddy, no, you gotta play the sport." And then the other team would score, and like his favorite thing about watching soccer with me anyway is when, you know, like when my team scores, I'm pumped, I'm excited and cheering. He just starts screaming, "Goal, goal!" So the other team scores, and he's sitting there celebrating with them, going, "Goal, goal!" And these kids are confused as fuck. Like all the other parents are looking at me like, "Is your kid okay?" You know, coaches are looking at me like, you explained to your son that there's two teams and he shouldn't be celebrating the other team scoring, and I'm just sitting there being like, "It's a goal, buddy. Fucking get pumped." You know? 'Cause it's like, fun. But then, you know, like it's hard afterwards whenever, like, you know, the coach is talking to everybody like that, and I'm like, yeah, that my kid's the one that was celebrating the goals for the other team. I don't know what to tell you, man.
That's good stuff, though, man. So is he? Is soccer going now?
No, it's over for now. I don't know if there's a fall league. We kind of called it after the summer league. We're like, you know what? Maybe that's not a sport. Maybe
that's not.
Well, I mean, he's still young, though. I mean, your son's like still really young. I mean, there's plenty of time for him to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned, man.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan was like that, man. Ivan would score goals, but like accidentally playing soccer. Like he booted as hard as he could, and some way, somehow, the ball found it in the net. Like every like he would kick it from midfield and it would go in, and everybody would be going crazy. And me and my wife would just be looking at each other like, "Did that really just happen? Like that was luck. That was complete luck." Like, where was the goalie? Because the ball was coming straight at his head.
Like, dude, you got a half a field to catch that fucker. Like, in front of him, man.
That's good stuff. Evan, how you doing, brother?
Hanging in, brother. Hanging in. This Lyme's disease is weird, man. Very, very weird.
Dude, you got Lyme's disease?
Yeah, I came down with it. I caught it early, which is nice, but it's weird, man. It's like, I don't know how else to describe it other than your bones hurt and you can't regulate your temperature for shit.
So, like being dope sick.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. My wife and I were just talking about that. That's what it's like, except for the restless legs, and really there's no puking or anything like that. And you're not shitting your brains out every 2 minutes. Right. But like the body feeling of it, that's exactly what it feels like.
Ooh,
exactly what it feels like.
Man.
Yeah,
that's
and like I'll be freezing cold. I'm freezing cold. It's 90 degrees outside, but I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt and a hoodie, sweating through my clothes, but I can't get warm. It's weird.
Wow.
It's weird.
Wow.
You know, what is it? Spotty Mountain Rock Fever, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
My buddy got that, and he had like the same kind of symptoms.
Did he end up losing his taste for red meat?
Yes, sir. He can't.
Yeah.
He can't even smell it. Like if he has any, when we have company meetings, they usually like fry a fish or do anything with meat, red meat, even like some like chicken. Like they have to order a separate meal for him.
That's so funny.
It can't even be cooked anywhere near any type of meat product.
That was my biggest concern when they diagnosed me, was losing my taste for meat.
Well, he'll get sick.
I mean, are you still eating it anyway?
I'm telling you, but yeah, no big deal on that end. I didn't get the spotted mountain fever, the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, whatever it was, just a deer tick. And it was odd because I thought it was a mosquito bite, and it went away after a day. I didn't think anything of it. And then like 2.5, so again, I'm lucky. It was like 2.5, 3 weeks later, my wife and I and the kids always take a trip out to Lancaster, PA every year with our family. There's this theater out there called Sight and Sound, and they do a big biblical play every year. It's actually pretty amazing theater. They do like 3 sides, and there's like live animals that walk through the crowd and all that kind of crap. And I went out there, and honest to God, it was like being dope sick the whole time. I was driving out there with my heated seats on all the way. I had an icy hot patch across my chest to keep me warm. It's, the rest of the family wants air conditioning. I'm like, no, we're turning up the heat. And then I came home. And about 3 days later, my knee started hurting where the mosquito bite was. And I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, that's a bullseye rash. Went to the doctor, and a day later they were like, yeah, you got Lyme's with the blood.
I don't know what it is about that area, but because I grew up in South Jersey, I was born in Philly. I've been to that theater like multiple times when I was a kid. Like I remember doing that. There are a lot of Lyme's disease cases that come out of that area. It's really weird.
We're getting worse now too around where I'm at. I'm in northern panhandle of West Virginia, and there used to be a big possum population around here, and they would keep all the ticks at bay. Well, the raccoons have taken over because it's starting to get a little bigger, and everybody's leaving their trash out, and so the coons are getting more fed, and their population's growing, and they're pushing out the possums even down further south. So now we're getting more and more ticks. Like they're saying they're seeing it more and more around here.
It's a damn turf war.
It is. It's a game. It is. I'm on Team Possum, man. They can't even carry rabies.
Which team you on, huh?
Fuck yeah, man. So, Evan, are your little ones? Do you have any in sports?
Their mother was artsy fartsy, so they're more crafts and that kind of thing. My oldest did like all the different types of dancing, ballet, jazz, tap, all that for years. And then she hit puberty and got boobs and got sick of that. And then my middle one has always been athletic, but she is the tornado of terror. So it's never been really officially organized athletics. It's just go out and raise holy hell everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah.
Although she did say she wants to start like some MMA pretty soon, and she did mention she wanted to start playing hockey. So we're looking into that this year.
Okay.
But she's also the kid who changes her mind every 6 months. So we like to make sure it's not just a passing thing before we go ahead and sign up and pay and all that kind of stuff.
Spend all that money for equipment. Like you need some skates, you need some pads, you need
She has just as much fun terrorizing the neighborhood kids and the neighborhood animals. So,
dude, that's why I was so glad when Ivan started playing high school sports because the school furnishes like all the equipment and everything, and I was like, thank you God, no more like $100,000 baseball bats and like $300 pairs of cleats and shit. It's like
equipment is so expensive these days, man. Like compared to when I was growing up, when I played for the high school team for hockey, we only got help with a little bit of stuff. Like they bought the jerseys and I think the gloves, and that was it. But it was I'm a Lemieux kid. Lemieux came through. All the guys my age started playing hockey because of Lemieux, right? Yeah. Well, now all the kids growing up that started because of Crosby Their equipment is fully purchased. They got like 3 different road jerseys, 3 different home jerseys. That's for like every high school around here. But when I grew up, there weren't a lot of teams, and we didn't get our equipment bought for us, but it wasn't as expensive as it is now, man.
Yeah, it's crazy now.
Oh,
I
man,
was looking at a pair of skates. I was like, holy shit.
my parents were pissed because I started playing hockey. You know, I think I was like 2.5, 3 when they put me on the ice. And a couple years later, our goalie didn't show up. So they put me in net, and I was like, I fucking love this. This is great. Put me in the net all the time. And I could see my dad just going, that little motherfucker. God,
Why am I not surprised you were a goalie?
fucking
BK.
goalie equipment, man. That shit is expensive, dude. It was back when I was a kid. That was a long ass time ago. And now I see the prices, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I wouldn't play goalie either. And I told my kid, like, I'm not paying for that shit, man. You got to get a job.
It's outrageous, man.
Yeah.
Telling a tornado to get a job. He can probably do it. He probably do it.
Man, you know, I don't know what child labor laws are in Michigan right now, but I'm gonna look into it, man. That kid's really, it's been almost 6 years, dude. Can start carrying his own. You know, I'm fucking I'm tired. Getting old.
I'll tell you what. I've been working on the farm this summer, man. Like, he was so happy when school started. He was actually happy when they started running 2-a-days. Like, all the other coaches, all the other kids were like, we got to run 2-a-days. My son's going, yes. He did not want to go back down to the farm. He was like, no.
Yeah, the other sport I played growing up was golf, which that's like you get a one-time investment, and then it's like, okay, don't zing your balls 300 yards into the woods, and it ain't very expensive after that, because all the local golf courses around here, if you just waited till 4:30 when the security guard went to the bar to get drunk, you could just hop right on and walk and go play them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't expensive at all.
That's one thing I could never get into. I have a friend on Twitter, and she loves to play golf, and we talked about it once. And I was just like, I've never been able to get into it. I like the TikTok video. You know, when he does we're going to play whack fuck. Because I am the greatest whack fuck player. Because I swear to God, every time I go to drive the ball, it either hooks extreme left, it hooks extreme right. And look, if it goes straight that 1 out of 100 times, dude, I am acting like I just freaking hit a hole in one, even if it's like 100 yards shy of anything.
Yeah,
like I'm so pumped.
That's what keeps everybody going back, because it really is an asshole sport.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah. It really is.
And John Daly makes it look like a total asshole for it.
I know. Drunk off his ass, all coked up, shooting under par. Yeah.
Just killing it.
I just don't understand why he's not in the conversation for the greatest athlete of all time. I mean,
I don't either.
Pure
raw talent, because there was no work ethic behind it at all.
I mean, that's when you know you're in the presence of like just brilliance.
I met him once when I was younger, and he was absolutely hysterical. There's a 84 Lumber is a lumber company around the Pittsburgh area, like they're pretty big. Yeah, they've gone regional or whatever, and they used to sponsor a golf tournament around here. It wasn't nothing big or anything, but John Daly was the one who was being sponsored by 84, so he would always show up every year, and he'd do the MC thing, drunk off his ass. And one year, I was doing the stupid "Quiet Please" sign on the hole, but you got to come the day before, and you could play the course. And here he come barreling around the bend on hole like 16. Drunk off his ass, a bottle of whiskey sitting in the cup holder in the cart, right? And he goes, "Hey kid, you want to finish out with me?" And I ended up playing like 2.5 holes with John Daly the rest of the way. Wow. He even offered me some whiskey, but at that point I hadn't had any. I was like 14, so I didn't take any. But he was hysterical, man. And he'd be drinking, smoking a cigar, put his cigar down, boom, 330 yards straight down the middle, man. It was hysterical.
Don't you wish like the older sports, like like they were like, he reminds me of like the way you watch like old black and whites of like the original football leagues.
Yep. Like
guys would be smoking cigarettes or cigars, like linemen would be sitting there drinking like pitchers of beer on like, and then like like Babe Ruth and like Mickey Mantle and all those guys would be like walking around, just talking shit. Pitchers would be smoking cigarettes on the dime. No,
JC, you're dead on, man. Like Lemieux came into the league smoking a pack a day, right? Can you imagine that now? But like, I think it's something about like, I don't know what the hell it is with like grown ass adults who idolize and worship these fucking kids games. Like, I don't know, personally, I think it's more badass when the guys don't really actually take it that seriously, but their natural skill comes through. Versus these guys, I mean, granted, I mean, good for them. They're getting paid millions, and that's awesome. Good for them. And that's apparently what the market wants and what people want to watch. But, like, I don't know. It's a kid's game. You know what I mean? Like, it don't seem that important the older I get.
Oh, no. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. You know, we both said, you know, we would much rather watch – I'd much rather watch high school football on a Friday night and college football in the afternoon than I would watch pro anything. I'd rather watch college baseball over any professional ball
College
game.
hockey, same way.
College hockey. Any amateur sports where there's no money involved, and I think the NCAA is completely screwing up with these new rules they have. But I understand, like, if you're a kid and they're using your likeness.
Sure.
Once you graduate, if you go through the whole program and graduate from the program, then you should get a check at the end of that time, or if you get hurt or something like that. But to pay kids to play just takes the purity and the integrity out of the game.
To be fair, though, I don't blame them. I mean, the NCAA was making millions and millions of dollars off their name for how many years? Millions. I don't blame them one bit, but I mean, like, it gets to the point where it's like, I don't know. You look around and you think, like, I get it. It's an escape from reality, and that's nice. But, like, I look around at some guys, and I'm like, brother, you're 50 and you know more about your fantasy football team than you do like your local rep or who your sheriff is, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And I don't want to look down on him. I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but it's like, where's the line at? Where's the line at? You know what I mean?
Well, I agree with you. And we were talking, me and this person we were talking about, we were actually talking this morning. It was this morning. We were having a conversation just about, the culture war and how, like, it's like man, people don't realize it's psychological warfare, man. It's it's bread and circuses, dude. It's just straight bread and circuses in this country. That's all it is, man. It's just feed the population what they want to keep them placated, and we make them feel like, you know, we just keep everybody up with distractions, because if everybody woke up at the same time, they would be completely fucked.
Yeah.
Which will never happen. I mean, that goes to Jay's theory, though, about like bureaucracy. That's the whole point of what ends up happening. At some point down the line, the bureaucracy figures out that now its goal is no longer what the mission was, but to keep the system alive. So what does the system need to do? It needs to distract and it needs to entertain. That's what it does, you know?
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach. What do you got to say about that, Jay? You've been quiet, Jay.
Yeah, come on.
Not to spout your theory for you, Jay.
No, you said everything right. The kids should get paid, and they're not kids anymore. They're adults. If they're at the college, they should get paid. They're working. They go out there. They do their thing. It's making money. They should get paid.
Oh, yeah, I think they should get compensated, too. And I think they should get paid for their likeness and that paid for being on the team. And because the schools are making, I mean, these colleges are making just crazy, ridiculous amounts of money.
The University of Alabama is worth $10 billion. Their football program is worth $10 billion.
That's just insane. I mean, that's just insane to me, man.
But I mean, there's 100,000 people in the crowds every weekend.
Yeah, and that's the part that's insane to me. That's the part that's insane.
Well, if you were at Alabama, if you lived in Alabama, you'd get it, because there ain't nothing to be proud of in Alabama other than football.
Listen, man, I live in West Virginia. I ain't driving to Morgantown on Saturdays, man.
I love you, Jay. I love you, Jay. You know, I'm just a bitter Mississippi State fan. That's all it is.
You can hear it in my southern accent how much I love Alabama football.
Let's see your Roll Tide tattoo, Jay.
Like Thug Life on his belly down there. Yeah.
He's got it on his backside, and the elephant ears are his ass cheeks.
And honestly, with that whole thing though, I'm not trying to shit on anybody what they love and their hobby or their passion or whatever it is, because listen, we all know I can be a judgmental asshole, but no, like to me, it's just one of the things where like there's that distraction is there for all of us. We all have our own distraction. I guess the real question I have is like, does your distraction further your goals, whether it be with your family or your life or whatever it is, or does it take away from those goals? And I just, I guess I'm sure there are probably people who like, that their family, that's what they do. That's their family time, I guess. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Just like I said, I don't know if it furthers it or if it.
There's a big difference between sitting down on a Saturday, watching your college team, shutting it off and going away. There's a difference between watching your NFL team. But then you get into like the whole like ESPN, and you just get like talk shows, radio shows, and you're right, you get people that are just investing more and more and more of their time, where you're not trying to be judgmental if that's what they enjoy and that's what floats the boat. Like like as libertarians or whatever, it's like whatever you want to do, man. Like go ahead and do it if that's what you love. But if that's what you love and you want to be into, don't freaking bitch and moan when you could be doing other shit.
Yeah.
That could benefit society and be good for society. Don't complain if you're not getting involved.
Yeah.
Because if you're spending 6 hours of your life every day invested in sports talk radio and not investing an hour or two involved in your local politics or your state politics,
Yeah.
Like
You hit the nail on the head, JC. It's the complaining that pisses me off. You're right. I don't somebody, if that's their happy life, fucking go do it, man. That's you. You know what I mean? But I know so many guys that, like I said, they could tell you the 4th string wide receiver for Jacksonville this year, and they'll sit and bitch about some shit going on in their local area. I'm like, well, what you're spending all this time on all this. If you spent half of that on this, you might have a different outcome. That's all. So you're right. It is the bitching and complaining. If that's your thing, you're happy, go do it.
Right. I mean, if it makes you happy, go do it. I mean, I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way with a lot of things. I think me and Drew talked about it like when I was on this podcast, man. If working out is like your thing and it makes you happy, like go out and do it. But it's like I don't obsess over working out. I don't obsess over my weight loss. Because it's just like. It's just something I do, And really, when I think about the things I'm into and the hobbies I'm into, most of the time I'm thinking to myself, like, who really gives a fuck anyway? Like that's my life. Like, no, I'm not interested in people aren't interested in that. Like they might be. What people are more interested in themselves. But what we need to do is we need to make people realize that there are interests that are good for everybody.
Yeah.
That affect everybody. And we really ought to be focusing on those interests.
Well, I think a lot of you can kind of comes down to like, are you working towards something or are you running away from something?
Yeah.
Like,
great point.
Because like I love soccer and I love hockey. So when the seasons are going, that's what I'm doing when the match is on. The game's playing, I'm watching. And I'm having fun in doing that. And I am distracted. I am not thinking about, all the shit that I've got to go on tomorrow or the big events in my life, shit like that. It's the second that I start turning into those to ignore my life around me and my reality, that's when it becomes bad. That's when it becomes a problem, because then you're not only not doing anything to better, like your life or anything like that, but you're actively moving away from it.
Yeah.
And it takes on that importance. You attach that emotional importance to it where, like how many people, lose their shit for like a week if their team loses.
Yeah.
Dude. And this is just
growing up in Pittsburgh, if the Steelers lose, that whole city, they're all miserable pricks for a week.
Right.
Oh man, look,
miserable
pricks. Look, I grew up an Eagles fan. Like I remember they had a freaking in the old Veterans Stadium. They had a damn jail cell and a judge in the bottom of the stadium.
You guys threw batteries at Santa Claus, Jason.
Oh shit!
Yeah, man.
Like they always said, at the end of an Eagles game, you could always tell when the Eagles really suck. If they won a game, 9 months later, there are going to be like a couple hundred babies born directly 9 months later.
You want to hear a funny story?
If they lost, there was going to be 100 domestic abuse reports that night.
You want to hear a funny story? My oldest daughter is born almost 9 months to the day after Ben Roethlisberger tackled Nick Harper in the playoff game with the Indianapolis Colts when Jerome Bettis fumbled on the end zone.
Oh, shit.
9 months to the day.
Oh, did your daughter know this?
Nope, but she's upstairs. She might have just heard it. So
That's fucking great. Oh shit. That's funny.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, man.
If I ever meet your daughter, I'm going to call her Roethlisberger.
everybody here, come here. You can say hi real quick. Come here. Ivy, say hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Good. All right. Love you guys. Go. All right.
Go.
There's the Roths, baby.
Yeah, that was, and it's extra funny about that. I have Nick Harper's wife to thank because his wife busted him cheating the night before, stabbed him in the leg, so he couldn't break to the outside where it was wide open. He cut back inside. That's how Roethlisberger caught up with him. So thank you, Mrs. Harper.
Thank you, Mrs. Harper, for my daughter.
I owe her one.
Oh, man.
My daughter has been today because Mrs. Harper caught her husband cheating and stabbed him in the leg.
Yeah, if you want a little extra layer of hilarity, I'm born 9 months and 2 days after the Steelers won the Super Bowl in 79. 80.
Just trace back your whole family's genealogy.
Yes. And 95% of my family is born in October, which is 9 months after when the old championship games used to be in the NFL.
Hell yeah.
That's Pittsburgh right there, man.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
it's in the blood, baby.
Lineage just can be like traced back to
Totally.
Steelers wins or lost.
Terry Bradshaw is responsible for more babies in my family than anybody else. Yeah, that's Pittsburgh.
Awesome. That's fucking awesome. I can't breathe.
This is good. This is just good content. I don't care who you are. Jesus, that's funny.
This is man content right here. That's
Yeah.
what this is. That's why it's called the Dad's Roundtable.
Always good to get that information out on the internet before you let them know. You know what I mean? It's always
just
good.
Immortalize it. You know what I mean? It's there forever.
Exactly.
That's forever, man.
Yeah.
But you know what though, BK, that goes back to what you're saying, though, man. It can become an addiction with some people. This kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like where it gets to the point of what just like drugs. I mean, you end up leaving everything for the drugs. Well, the same thing with this. I mean, I know guys who like lost jobs over checking, who they're going to pick up on the waiver wire for fantasy football. It's crazy.
How many of those has? And how many guys, 3-4 nights a week are at some bar with their buddies doing, on different leagues and everything like that. And it's like, okay, I understand once a week, maybe even twice a week, sometimes you just got to get out. You got to get your space. Everyone needs it. But man, some people it just goes so far that you got to wonder, okay, now is this really about the sport and the love of the sport? Or is it about you finding some way to just push it off? And like you guys were saying earlier, the ones who do the most complaining about everything else are generally the ones who are running the most.
Always.
That's
it's like I saw. I have to find it, and I don't want to misquote it, but a majority of people who go and vote, like who are either ultra Republican or ultra liberal or ultra Democrat, whatever. Majority of people they only vote in national elections.
Yeah.
They don't. Vote, they don't even vote in state elections,
where it doesn't matter one bit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hysterical, man.
They bitch and moan about everything going on
for people with degrees.
For
real.
For real.
I mean, your local sheriff Your local sheriff matters more than any national election ever will.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But these
You
people,
know?
Politics is just as much entertainment as all this other stuff, and
For
people
sure.
do use it to run away.
Politics is sports for people who didn't play sports.
right?
It's not
And
even
the
sports.
turnout.
It's wrestling. It's
Yeah.
wrestling.
It's
Better
wrestling.
analogy. It is.
You
It's wrestling.
you just said it's wrestling.
Wrestling is a sport. It's still real to me. Damn it.
It's still real to me.
Yeah, I'm going to see AEW in Charleston in about 3 weeks.
Dude, I don't care. I don't care if you like that shit or not. It's fun to watch.
It's so fun to watch.
It's
Like,
awesome to watch, dude.
You can watch just one night of it, and
Yeah.
I've got caught on it before, and I'm like, man, what's this dude's story? So I'll start like Googling and going, oh shit, he did that to that person. Oh, and then by the end, I've got shirt off, I'm jumping off the couch, screaming at the TV and everything like that. And, and then I kind of stop for a second, and go, I don't know who these motherfuckers are, but I don't care right now.
Dude,
See,
I love the episodes where it's like the little guy that shouldn't be picking up anybody, and he's got like this gigantic dude, and he body slams him.
Yep.
That's the best visual. Have you ever gone? Have you all gone to them live? Have you all seen like They are so much fun live, dude.
For sure.
Oh,
For
they're
sure.
a blast. It's a totally different experience because when you're watching it on TV, you can kind of, not that it looks fake because nowadays they've figured out like camera angles and how to angle it. But when you can't, some of those guys are so good that you can't tell the difference. And those slaps, punches, kicks, hits.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds, you can hear, it's loud. It's a punch, dude.
It's not 100%, but they're not pretending either. There's some guys that work pretty stiff. We used to go to them in like the 90s. My buddy was real big into wrestling. Wanted to be a wrestler so bad that he had us videotape him. He climbed onto his roof. He set one of those buffet tables out and put thumbtacks on it. Was getting ready to jump off, and his dad came out. Mind you, this is 2 a.m. in Robinson Township. His dad comes out in his underwear, screams at him, "You better get your ass off that roof or I will throw you off that roof," right? So he wanted to send his tapes into WWE. 140 pounds soaking wet, had a concave chest, right, the whole thing. But we used to go see wrestling all the time. I used to dress up as Val Venus. I wore the towel and everything when we used to go down to the Civic Arena. Oh, yeah, it was great. It was great. And then I stopped watching. You get older, you have kids, you get a job, all that kind of crap. Well, my stepdaughter, her biological father is actually into wrestling. So it was like a neat way for me to both reconnect with wrestling and have a good situation there where there's no headaches for anybody involved, that kind of thing. So he's actually one of the guys I'm going down to Charleston with to watch AEW. So,
yeah, man, that's awesome. You found like an entry point into like that. That's what it's all about. It's like finding your entry points in the awkward situations. That's
man.
Cool, man.
Especially because she's special needs. So it's like, I can imagine from his standpoint being like, okay, who's this asshole taking care of not only my daughter who needs extra care. So it was like, that was a, not that it was manipulated. I don't want to make it sound like that because I do like the dude. We do get along and I do like wrestling, but it was a neat little way to kind of just, off the bat be like, okay, hey, look, I'm not a bad dude.
Y'all found some common ground. Y'all found out that you like seeing sweaty men wrestle and slap each other.
Exactly. Not just like them, dress up as them.
Yeah.
Right. Don't forget the dress up part, man. Don't forget the dress up part.
Oh, it's hysterical, man.
That's good stuff.
Oh, God.
Well, there's a debate that we need to have right now.
Oh, God.
That has been a long time coming. BK, flour tortillas are better than corn tortillas, hands down. That's me throwing the gauntlet right there.
Mm-hmm. All right. He's dropping the nuke right away, brother.
This you can't. That's too black and white. It's far too black and white. These are tacos.
BK is going nuance on this.
They're tacos. Nuance. All right.
Do not talk about Showgirls. Do not bring Showgirls into this.
It's all connected.
All right, I don't know where to go.
It's all connected.
All right. So the only actual definitive statement you can make about tacos and like the shells or how the tortillas that you're using, anything like that, is that flour tortillas are necessary for breakfast tacos. That is hands down the only thing that you can go with. After that, man, you can't pick one or the other. It's about what's going in the taco. That's how the tortillas, they work with the ingredients. They don't work on, they're not a standalone.
Okay, I'll say this. I've seen this demonstrated before, okay? I will slap you in the face with a flour tortilla, and it will rip. But I can slap you in the face with a corn tortilla, and it'll leave a mark on your face. It'll leave a damn welt, dude. So I'm going with the corn tortilla all day long.
Leave it to JC to go self-defense aspect out of his tortilla.
Tactical corn tortillas.
Yeah, tactical tortilla. That's amazing. That's $1 million idea right there, man. Tactical tortilla. That's hysterical.
I'll just say though, flour tortillas are more versatile than corn. And here's why. Burritos. Okay. Let's not forget about the burritos. Quesadillas.
Yeah.
All the delicious food. I mean, look, I'm a burrito guy. I will put literally any entree inside of a damn tortilla, a flour tortilla, and I'll make bam. I got dinner on the go. We're set, brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. I can't do that with the corn tortilla.
See, I got that fat ass mind, man. The more I can stuff inside a tortilla, the happier I am, man.
Yes.
Dude, yeah, I remember, look, I worked as a landscaper when I was younger, and it was like back before like immigration was cracking down on like ICE and everything was coming. And I worked for a landscaping company called Lipinski Landscaping in New Jersey, South Jersey. It's the largest landscaping company they had, and we had like we had a ton of migrant workers from Mexico. And these guys, they would literally come to work with like a cooler, and they'd have like a bag full of tortillas, and like they would open up the cooler and you'd think it'd be like Mexican food, like different kind of like Mexican stuff. No, they would pull open the cooler and pull out like KFC chicken. Okay. And then they would rip the chicken apart and put the chicken in the tortilla and eat it. Like,
yeah, hysterical.
Like, see, I thought anything, dude.
JC, I thought you were going to go like the dudes on our site. Like the guys on our site, they bring coolers and they actually bring like kettles and shit. And they'll sit out there after a day's work and they will cook everything all day long, slow cook it. And like at the end of the day, there is nothing better than stopping over. They're usually either the stonemason guys or once in a while they'll be the siding guys. And you stop over, you make friends with them, man, you have never eaten better in your life. It's unbelievable.
I was 19 years old when I worked for this company, and so I started off as like just like a regular landscaping guy. I worked with another foreman, and they taught me how to do what to do. And then one day, the guy who was running the sod truck came out, and he called out that day. And my boss Ray was like, "Hey man," he was like, "Why don't you run the sod crew? That we got to run like 10 trucks today." He said, "If you get it done, you do a good job." He was like, "We'll think about giving you a position." So I had this brilliant idea. I told Julio, I said, "Look, come here." He walked over. I said, "I'm going to make a deal with you. If we lay all this sod by 3:00, I'll buy everybody a case of beer." Look, that shit got freaking thrown down.
Yeah,
so goddamn fast, dude.
Yeah.
And I went and got that beer. And next thing I knew, I was running the sod crew. But every Friday, I told him, if we do this every week, every Friday, I'll have a case of beer for everybody. Yeah. And we just on Friday on the way home, we just get straight fucked up.
Yep.
And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. But the tortilla thing, dude, they had tortillas with every meal, man. It was
Which ones?
Which ones?
Ooh. I don't remember, Jay. I'm pretty sure they were flour, though. I'm pretty sure they were flour.
These tortillas are a vehicle for what's inside of it. This is killing me. This is gonna. I got.
All right, give me, hey, BK, give me what you put in. You got steak. What do you put it in?
See, now that's once again steak.
You could go either way.
You got to go flour because it's a breakfast.
Okay.
But like if you're doing the meat like over open fire or grilling or anything like that, dude, it's got to go in a corn tortilla.
You like a corn?
I will say this: if the substance is like liquidy, right? Like if let's say the steak is very marinated and it's just dripping everywhere. Flour has a tendency to absorb and get soggy, whereas corn doesn't.
Yep.
So
it runs all over your work pants.
yes, yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue. It's a problem.
So, I mean, once again, I think we're kind of focusing on the wrong thing. I think we got to talk about ingredients first. If we're gonna, because once again, the tortillas, that's just a vessel. It's get food from point A to point B.
It's an edible plate. It's
all right. So let's say this. Give us ingredients that go in a corn tortilla.
Well, I mean, that's just it. Is all ingredients can go in either corn or flour. It's the we just talked about this.
What
is
is
a
it?
consistency matter?
What is it?
It's like you can't. We're talking about tacos, gentlemen. Tacos. All right. There are infinite amounts of combinations. So you asked me to I can't just pick one. That's not fair to the rest of this.
It sounds like a woman in sex toys. There's just infinite combinations. No wonder they love tacos so much. Infinite combinations. Women in tacos, women in sex toys. It makes sense.
And maybe that's why, why we're just not latching onto it as well. Like maybe we need to have a woman on here to talk about sex toys so that we can equate it to tacos.
That's so great, man.
Meld the two together because who doesn't like food in the bedroom?
The tacos to sex toy pipeline.
This is not a clincher.
It's real.
This is not a clincher by any means. But I will say this. My wife was hardcore flour tortilla before she got the cancer. And now with her brain tumors and all that, now since things don't taste as good to her, now she switched to corn. So I'm still on team flour.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. How come there is no corn, like burrito sized corn tortillas? I've never seen them.
That's a good question.
Good question, actually. I mean,
do they?
They fall apart. That's why I don't eat corn. Because
I actually like the taste of corn tortilla. I like the corn stuff, like the hard shell ones that you can buy. But I've never found them in a big tortilla one that didn't drip through immediately after you tried it. Because I bought them one time to use for steak. I actually like the taste of them better, but it was like right through on the plate and get out the fork. And what the hell's the point in eating tacos with a fork?
I have seen big ones. Before, but they were mostly used for quesadillas.
Quesadilla, like corn quesadilla?
Like a corn quesadilla. Like that's what they were used for. Maybe they just ran out, but I have seen big ones before. And I've seen
You don't say.
I just fucking thought what you said, asshole. No. Most of the time I see food prepared with a corn tortilla, like it's usually baked or fried. I don't ever really see people using corn tortillas raw. Is that something interesting? Is like BK, like you're the chef.
I mean, the tacos, I was seeing them like the street tacos because they're always the small corn tortillas, so it doesn't really matter. You're eating them fast enough. I think, once again, it's a vessel. So yeah, I mean, if you got something sloppy and it's a really big one, it's going to fall apart actually. I mean, it really just depends on, just how messy things get, I'm trying to...
JC's eyes got as big as silver dollars when he said sloppy and baked. As big as silver dollars. That's great. That's great.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Yes. I miss Dad's Roundtable, man.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, so so like to kind of switch gears up here a little bit, like how are you guys feeling about kind of the current trajectory that we're on? Like what are you looking at like towards your future? Is any of the current events right now affecting you in any way, shape, or form that you're worried about kind of matters at home?
87,000 new IRS agents is bothering me.
That scares the shit out of me too, man.
I'll be honest with you.
They're really armed too and buying up all that ammo.
For sure. That's they didn't pick 87,000 new pencil pushers, to go ahead and we'll go after the big guy, but we all know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
We know what they're bringing them on for,
Well,
and that scares the shit out of me.
I saw a thing earlier, and I don't know, like it was just one of the like a graph showing up on this new what's it that big thing that they're trying to pass right now in Washington about what do they call it? The inflation thing.
Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, they're talking about reducing inflation, but like it's just going to raise everyone's taxes and do a bunch of dumb shit.
For sure.
But they were showing who, like, if someone tried to break it down and show who was going to be paying the most, and it turns out that the people who are paying the most are the ones that make between 75 and 200K a year.
Always
And
always
always going to, and that's going to be pretty much like, obviously middle class, but a lot of small businesses fall in that category too.
It's brother. It's always going to be that. It's always going to be not just the middle class, but the small business owners. That's who they want to get rid of. That's been the game plan for a long time. That's the stuff that scares the shit out of me, to be honest with you.
Particularly after the last couple of years when they wiped out so many other small businesses.
Yep.
This is arguably the worst thing that you do for the rest of them. So you got to wonder, like, okay, at what point, I'm not saying that, like, like at what point do people start to recognize that, like, okay, these things that they're promising you are not going to show up. It's like with the fucking stimulus shit they gave us, we got, a pittance of what they, like, per person. It was like 32,000 that we went into debt for. And we all saw what, a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand. Lucky.
They don't recognize. That's the answer, BK. And they never will. And they never will.
And so, like, that's a serious problem. Is those 87,000 new IRS guys are most likely going to be looking at the largest group the group that's are giving the largest amount to them. They're not going to go at the billionaires. Their numbers aren't going to increase that much in a short period of time.
They're going to go after guys like us if we have a good year. That's what they're going to go after. That's all they ever go after. Predators don't go after the strong in the pack. Predators go after the weak in the pack. They're going to go after the guys who have families, who don't want to fight it out in court, who can't afford the best lawyers around. That's the guys they're going to go after. Okay, and that's always the way it's been, and that scares the shit out of me. And at some point, I don't know. There's no way nationally there's enough pushback to fight against this shit. There's just no way. The only way it can happen is to pick a couple spots, a couple pockets, like that, like the Free State up in New Hampshire, although I don't think I'd ever want to move to New Hampshire. But there's got to be some pockets where people get together and just say, we're not doing this anymore. That's the only way it can happen. The only way.
Yep. Well, it's, particularly when 50% of the country is all for it. That's what makes it even harder is that
I don't even know if it's that low, BK. It might be higher than 50, to be honest with you.
It might be higher, and that's the problem is that, you look at this, when so many people are supporting a bad idea, they can convince each other that it's a good idea. We've seen it. And that's just history in general. You get a large enough group of stupid people, they're capable of incredible things. So when you look at it like that, it's kind of like you said, it's either going to be small pockets or it's not going to be at all. And
I couldn't agree with that more. It's going to have to. It's going to have to be. People are going to have to physically relocate, I think, to have enough strength in numbers to do anything about this. And the problem is, and they know this, is we all have family ties. We have, heritable ties to areas. We have cultural ties to areas. And so to get, especially in, our group, whatever you want to call it, libertarian, anarchist, whatever. I mean, you get enough of them in a room, half of them are going to shoot the other half. It's like herding cats, autistic cats at that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's horrendous to try to get anybody on the same page. But at some point, it's going to have to be a choice that, ideological separation is going to require geographic consolidation. It's just going to have to be that.
I don't, that's what I fear, is because once you become geographically centralized, the easier it is for them to come after you.
In one big swoop, I agree with you, JC. But
the
honestly,
way we are right now, and in my Saturday morning conversations I was having with my friend this morning, this is kind of freaking bizarre because this actually came up and I actually addressed this very topic. In my opinion, what needs to happen is we need to view what we're doing now is completely wrong. Like we're losing the war right now is on the internet. Like we're losing the media war, and the way we win, nobody wants to go that route. Like the way you win is by dominating information, and the way you dominate information is you literally go to digital war with these people. You literally destroy their careers. You literally silence them. You literally do financially ruin them. You financially take over their infrastructures. There's things that you can do to battle this, but like going into like geographical locations and like consolidating, that just plays to me, that plays right into their hand, because the more spread out we are, and the more danger we are to them, because they can't just fell swoop and just say, well, like, you know, this group over here, because you know how they can spin that shit. They can spin that shit however they want. If you take away their ability to spin it, then they've got a really big problem.
I agree with you, JC, up to the point where you said if you take away their ability to spin it. And my issue with that is this. I think we're already past the point of no return on the digital information stuff. I think there are so many systems in place right now that, I mean, they can not only remove your ability to speak, but almost now and very, very soon completely, they're going to be able to remove your ability to do banking, to take out a mortgage, to buy a car. Go ahead.
Yeah, they've already done that to people. Who was the guy that started that one social network? I forget what it was called. That after Twitter.
Parler?
Yeah. Not Parler. It was something else. Getter? But anyway, yeah. They eliminated. No, maybe it wasn't Getter. But whatever it was, they eliminated. They took his ability to. Well, they did that to Mike Lindell, man.
They've done it to many.
And if they can do it to them, they can easily do it to you.
I agree. And so my issue, what you're saying hypothetically, JC, I agree with you 100%. But I think we are at no point to be able to win that battle right now. And so the only thing that I think in the long run will make a difference is geographic consolidation and building communities from the ground up, building self-sustaining, self-reliant, insulated communities. And I agree with you that it does put those communities at a risk. I don't disagree with that at all. But I think we're in a situation right now where they're picking off the strongest one by one. And strongest is probably a bad term. Forgive me. You know, I don't think Alex Jones is the strongest voice in the community right now. But you follow what I'm saying.
I
right?
I know what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? And I think we have a better shot of maybe 3-4 pockets. Maybe maybe the Free State be one, Appalachia is one, somewhere out in the Southwest and somewhere up in the Northwest. And to just quietly and maybe even as much under the radar as possible to start building stronger communities. And then once those communities are self-reliant and they start to grow, getting people in and starting actually with kids, getting them, bring in the kids, start teaching them to be self-reliant and build them up in those communities. But again, I could be wrong.
Why is government, why do we hate government? Why do we hate the system? It's because it doesn't work that well, right?
Yeah.
Tyranny doesn't work well. It only works for a handful of people. So when systems don't work well, they fail. So we don't need to get together necessarily to make sure that system falls apart. It's going to fall apart itself. All we need to do is be able to build mesh networks where we are, where we go, and just have to be responsible for ourselves. Like being like in a close knit, we don't need that. There's plenty of people that will just jump onto these new mesh networks if you do it right, because they will fail. They will do it wrong. Things won't work that well. And if you have a better system, people will use that. They can't go after everybody.
I'll be right back.
my thing is this is like, and my theory is that it can't be just like a North America thing. Like it has to be a worldwide, system revolution. Like it's got to be worldwide because it can't just like when you talk like about like in a monetary sense, like it has to be a total free market revolution.
You can't build
like,
guns. You can't
do
build
what?
guns without antimony. Antimony is number 47 on the periodic table. It's a metal that's found in northwest Montana and Mexico and China and Bolivia. That's it. Those where you find those 4 metals, and you can't build a military without them. How do you centralize around areas that you don't even have access to all the stuff that you need to build?
Well, what I'm saying though is, Jay, is that we need more of a like. It needs to be, the whole system needs to be reworked all over in order for it to work here in North America.
I 100% agree with you, and that's what I'm saying is you can't build a small little spot because the other resources can only be found in very specific spots in the world.
Right.
You have to have some type of trade system, arbitrage system to get that stuff from there to you. You can't have guns without antimony. Antimony is one of the main ingredients in primers. It's the main ingredient. It makes lead hard. You can't, like, if you just do pure lead bullet, it will blow up into a million pieces before it even leaves the gun because it's not strong enough to leave the muzzle of the barrel. Like, little things like this, we don't understand, like all these little pieces that we use in our modern day economy. And that's just one metal. There's all the REEs. China controls 95% of all the REEs in the United States.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's a place in California that you can get REEs. The University of Indiana and West Virginia are doing a whole bunch of studies in coal work to find REEs. But you have to build the resources are so spread out and very specific to go get that they're not everywhere. So if they're not everywhere, then you have to be everywhere as well.
Well, the way I look at it, like the way I'm looking at it right now is we all know this. Like the average normie does not realize this, but there's going to be one of two things is going to happen. Like a universal government is going to happen. Like a one world government is on its way. Like they're prepping us all for that right now. The whole idea is like, are we going to let them do it their way, or are we going to do it our way? That's the key. Like, are we going to do it our way, the way we want it done, like with free markets and liberty and our original principles that this country was founded on, like the good principles, not the shitty ones? Or are we going to let despots take over and fucking run everybody like they're fucking camels or fucking roaches or cows? Like that's the bottom of the line right now, because we're going the opposite direction that we should be going. How we stop that, I have no fucking idea. I just know it's happening. I can see it happening.
Yeah.
So,
but they're really bad at what they do. They're
fucking horrible.
They suck at it. So all you have to do is get higher than BK on this level, and then we can move forward. I mean, that's where they're at.
Dude, the motherfucker does the limbo. He does the limbo in a grave, man.
Full
limbo
circle.
The bar is low. And the thing is, they're consolidating all this stuff, but they're not very good at it. Like right now in the sand, it's sand, silica sand that's everywhere. There's probably a silica mine right next to you that they use for concrete and cement mixes and all that stuff. Halliburton and U.S. Silica are trying to buy up everything. Thing is, when they control everything, then they can raise the prices and they can sell it higher. But not everybody's doing it. All it takes is a couple people off to the side to go have this mine and start selling it to the public, and then it becomes decentralized away from that system. All you have to do is have an input outside of their system added to it, and then they no longer have control over it.
And I'll throw in this. That's that's why I think it's important to get together in groups, because
where do you do it?
I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to that. I don't. And I'm not going to pretend like I do.
Where's the best place to get electricity?
That's a great question, Jay. And again, those are all great questions. Where's the best place to get rare earth elements? Where's the best place to get timber that you're going to need? I get what you're saying.
The earth isn't centralized, so why should that's to our advantage. So we should use that to our advantage.
I agree with that. But I also know that people, generally speaking, when you have a situation like we do now, where you have people actively and hopefully calling for coercive government force to break down your door and shoot you in the middle of the night for things that we would all consider absolute atrocities, I think that at some point there's going to have to be a need for something bigger than just little neighborhoods kind of being on the same page. It's going to require at least communities to be on the same page.
Okay, so Alexander Solzhenitsyn once quoted saying, if we knew how few there were of them, we would have met them in the hallways with pitchforks and shovels.
Yeah.
Like, after he looked at it and realized how few people were actually enforcing the system, it was really easy to stand up against the system.
Brother, I agree with you. And I think that point stands to my point more than it does the decentralized.
It just takes is a couple people to stand up in one small area, and then that small area is now taken care of. They can't go out.
I agree. How many of your neighbors feel the same way that you do?
Yes.
Great answer. Great answer. That's a great answer.
Because I don't live in the city. I mean, that's all you have to do is not be in the city.
Yeah, and look, maybe those pockets, honestly, are no bigger than
actually theirs. Maybe
the pockets are maybe just the local communities. You might be right.
I'm saying they live in the pockets. The cities are the pockets.
Yeah, unfortunately, those pockets have a decent reach.
We get to take over everything else. We control everything else.
I see what Jay's saying. I see what you're saying.
So do I.
But here's the thing. In order for something like that to take place, and I feel like we're contemplating revolution here, like right now, like this is founding fathers shit right here. Like in order for something like that to take place, we would have to it would take mass coordination from different individuals, not a ton of money, but enough money to where you could actually start to make a difference. Like, and to like crash systems like this, like you're talking about, like for companies,
we don't need to crash it.
We don't need to crash
it themselves.
They'll crash it themselves.
I agree with that.
What I'm talking about is it would be like you would have to have like a true strategic mind. Like you would have to have a plan in order to pull that off. Like, and you would have to have people willing to commit to that plan in order to make that happen.
I'm a firm believer in decentralization of everything, and really guerrilla warfare, whether it be digital or in real life, is going to be the way this is done. I don't disagree with that at all. I also know though, what's that?
It would have to be both, a mixture of both.
It kind of would. I know that I think there are.
Going to jail.
Listen, I'm already on list, brother. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And I do agree with Jay on that point. It is going to be decentralization that wins the day. And I do agree with that. I also know that there are going to be in real life ramifications for going against that system. And I think the bigger that community is that you have around you and with you going into that, I think the safer you're going to be. And I'm not saying it has to be a state, like the free state. It doesn't have to be all of New Hampshire. And JC, you might be right on that. That's putting a target on your back. I don't disagree with that. But yeah. But from community levels, you get little pockets here and there inside of even something as small as the northern panhandle of West Virginia, let's say. You get little pocket communities that are all capable of kind of carrying the same goals forward and doing the same defensive tactics that need to be done, then I think that becomes a safer option than, like you said, winning a digital war on the internet. I don't know that that's completely possible at this point.
I honestly, because I like I think like we're thinking about it the same, but we're thinking about it different. Like, like you have to go at it. You have to go after the systems that they're using, like on a whole. Like Jay was talking about, like using mesh networks and stuff. You have to find a way to get people to listen to your message. So the first thing you've got to do is excite people about your message. We're all on Twitter. We're all on social media. We don't get our message out there.
We're horrible at that.
And we're horrible at it because we're not purpose or plan driven with what we do.
Yeah.
Because we're all inherently shit posters and a bunch of assholes.
Yep.
So like, if we were purposefully driven though, and we had a plan and we had attainable goals that we set out for ourselves, I think that we could make progress. But like, as of right now, like we talk about this shit, and this is, I've kind of made somebody mad not long ago when I told them, like, I want to make the world a better place. And that's why I don't really pay much attention to like people that not complain, like, but that like do a lot of talking, but they don't put a lot of action out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm more of a man of action. Like, point me in the fucking direction.
We all need to be.
Tell me what hill to take, and I'll fucking take it.
Yeah.
But I like standing there talking about it only triggers me. You know what I mean? Like it just makes me furious, and then I'm just spinning around in a circle like a tornado, not knowing what damn direction to go in, and I'm just taking out random shit in my own
just creating
life.
Chaos.
I'm creating chaos for myself because I'm frustrated. You know, I get mad at my damn. I just pounded my damn tablet. I get mad at like my kid, or I get mad at a situation at work because I'm frustrated of something I saw on Twitter. You know, some stupid assholes talking about he should have a right to, teach a kid about, sodomy and shit. Like, you don't have a right to talk to a 5-year-old about that shit, you fucking sick bastard. No, you're like you gotta like. But if you point me in a direction and say, you know what, this is how you really affect that son of a bitch. Like you freaking you can destroy his whole argument by doing X, Y, and Z. If you give me that direction to go in and you show me it, I'm gonna take that direction. I'm gonna take it out on that person that deserves it, not on myself.
We need to target. And the issue, JC, my old man, he was a libertarian starting in '72. Okay. Like I grew up going to John Birch summer camp, and all the other kids were going to YMCA. I was down in Georgia memorizing the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence when I was 8 years old. Okay, but my old man will tell you, this is the eternal struggle of people who believe in decentralization: is how do you centralize a mission of people who believe in decentralization? That's the issue.
But I think ultimately it comes down to having, not necessarily having a message or having a means to convey that message, but more or less having the right mentality behind everything. So, because, like you're saying earlier, like it's like herding ducks or cats or whatever the fuck, we just call it herding liberty-minded folks. We all want to do our own shit. We just want to be left alone to fuck around with our own things and, have fun, work, whatever the fuck it is. But ultimately, the only way you're going to do it, because like Jay, like you were mentioning, eventually their system's going to crack. It's not efficient. It doesn't work right. We all know it's not going to last. The only thing that they can do when it starts to break is resort to the measures that they're doing now, which is implementing some form of violence, be it, the threat of jail time or fines or taking away from your family, taking away from a job, taking your car away, things like that. Like when they hit that stage, it's no longer transactional, or it never was technically transactional, in that you were both agreeing with it. The one thing that they can't take away though is the idea behind it. So like JC, you're talking about point me in a direction. Evan, you're talking about getting like-minded people together. We're all of those things are good and great. and yeah, they have their ups and they have their downs, everything like that. But the one fundamental thing that all of them share is the concept behind it. And we don't need to be louder to get that point across. We don't need to be violent. We just need to show people by example. Just live your life. Flat out, just, take everything in your life that you don't like and you can't change and just ignore it and find the little gaps in it that you can change and do, if it's something, growing something in your backyard, like a garden or anything like that, that's a palpable thing that you can do that takes away from the system, so on and so forth. Or, you can get drunk and stand on your roof and fire bottle rockets at your neighbors. And it's just these little things that you do that just shows everyone around you that no, they can't fucking stop you from doing these things as long as you're not infringing on someone else. And just show people in all situations of life, every walk of life, that you can just do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not harming someone. And everyone's going to be like, hey, you know what? That dude might be onto something. Like, look at how happy he is. And even when shit's going bad in your life, if you're fucking living it how you want and doing those little things that make you happy, and you're just like, no, you know what? I can't help this. I can't help the fact that I have to pay these taxes. I can't help the fact that, I have to put clothes on before I leave the house. I can't help the fact that, I can't just randomly fucking light my, there we go. Okay. You know what I mean?
I was waiting on the opportunity to take my shirt off. That's what I was waiting on, goddamn.
Yes.
Essentially, what I'm saying though is that if ultimately we want to win, and we want to have the lives that we want, because none of us are in this talking about like when I get power or when I have control or when I can do this. We don't say shit
The reason none of us are saying that though about having power is because we all know how, we all know ourselves, and we are the last person on earth that we would want to have power.
Right.
The problem is that the people that have the power are the ones that are really screwed up. Well, I mean, you know what I mean by power, Jay. They have the ability to use force in order to implement their
power is responsibility.
Yeah, well, it is inherently. It is responsibility. So, but I mean,
that's what it is. If you want to take power, you have to be more responsible. That's it. You want to be more powerful in your life. You be more. That's the stupid Spider-Man quote.
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. Say it the other way. With great responsibility comes great power.
Yeah,
and it works a lot better because we don't get to have. We're not born. We weren't born with $1 billion bank account. We weren't born with superpowers, right? So How do you do it? You take on responsibility, and it's so simple because all the stuff that we have power or responsibility over, all you have to do is just go do it. And as soon as you do that, you take that power from them. You take that responsibility from them.
And to be fair, Jay,
if that system says, hey, you can't do cows anymore, well, then live in Alabama because they're not going to stop having cows out here.
They're not going to stop doing that in Mississippi either.
And you bring a steak to a place, it's going to get sold. People aren't going to pay attention to it anymore. You don't have to tell them that you did this because of liberty. You did it because you had a cow and then somebody that could butcher it and sell it to the person.
That's what I'm saying, man. Is like those little things. Like you can't stop that. It's going to happen everywhere. So it's
sovereignty, and you can only take sovereignty is not given; it's only taken. Yeah, that's what you do. You just take it back. And the thing is, it takes no effort. You just do it, and then all of a sudden, you now have sovereignty. You take sovereignty for yourself.
And to be fair, what you and I may be discussing back and forth, honestly, is just a difference of scale. You talking about it more on the individual level, me talking about it more on the community level.
No, because now it creates more of a mesh network, and that mesh network grows way faster than a small community. And the thing is, the small communities will pop up because it works better. If we are right, then it works better, and then people will do it.
I agree. Right. Now imagine having those already in place, because here's the reality. There's going to be lots. Like I said, I agree with you. When the system is going to break, I agree with you 100% on that. When the system breaks, what are the normies going to do? They're going to have two options. They're going to either look to a system, an alternative system that's already in place that can provide them for their needs with little to no cost to themselves, or they're going to start going after people for what they need. And my preference would be to have, again, even if it's in individual pockets, to have those systems already in place that can adopt and assimilate those normies to come into a different way of life that doesn't require violent defense or violent offense to bring them in. That's my only point on that. I think having those already on board would be a good idea and would be forward thinking.
I think most of the places already technically have that, especially not in the city.
Yeah, I was going to say,
most of the tyranny that we read about is in Europe. And Europe is a really small place with a whole bunch of cities, right?
Yep.
It's really compact. People live really close together. Cities are like, to go 300 miles in Europe, for them, that feels like a long way because you have to go through a lot of people in that 300 miles. Here, I could go 300 miles and
I'm not out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And it's nothing. And we're so much more spread out. We are not in cities. So this idea of like having a Germany or even a Moscow style tyranny is a lot more difficult here. It's a lot easier up in upstate New York, the New York area, Massachusetts, there, New England area. It's a lot easier in Los Angeles, San Francisco, but you can't do that in Montana. Like the people during Stalin out in the Kamchatka Peninsula on the other side of Russia and the USSR, they didn't have to worry about going to any camps out there. They were doing their own thing. It was only the European side that all this stuff was happening.
Agree, which is why my argument would be either Appalachia or Montana.
We're already here as long as we're not in the cities. The cities is where it's at, and that's where it's going to happen, and that's where everything falls apart. I mean, all the dystopian movies like Dread and stuff like that, these are these giant 300 million or like 50 million 50 million people in the city, right? It's not out in the country like that. Like, and all it's like a giant desert everywhere else, and everybody has to live in the city. That's the way it's portrayed. But there's green stuff everywhere. Like, all you have to do is not live in the cities, and that's it. You don't have to. I mean, even if you live in the cities, don't live inside the interstate loop.
So let me get this straight. So your idea, your whole premise is to, in order for people to catch on to this, is to live in more rural areas and just promote individual responsibility. And
people already do it. It's easy because everybody has a small business or they have a little farm or something, and you just know the people, and then you start trading. People already know most of the people in the communities. Down here, the churches know churches. Like, it's already built. It's already here. It's just not in the cities where it's a giant. Nobody knows everybody, and everybody's fine with that moving to the city. Where smaller and smaller towns, you have to know people, and once that starts happening, then people just start helping other people.
So it's great for extroverts. It's just introverts just die.
No, because the introverts are out there working.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the way I see what you're saying. I see what everybody's saying. But my fear is this: is my fear is that the system crashes. And we don't have a system in place for other people. Like I see the system.
People that can build systems. That's it.
Yeah, and then we run into all the same problems that we're having now, though. Like it's going to be the same problem. We have to have a better. But there's got to be a better solution.
No, you can't run away from these problems because these problems are inherently human.
Yeah,
see, that's the thing, is that eventually it's going to happen regardless. The only thing you can do is build a strong enough system that proves it's right and accurate, and assume that a fraction of the population is going to carry on and recognize it. See, you're never going to win 100% of the population over. It's not possible. People are going to want, through avarice or apathy, any other word that begins with A that you can fit in there.
Assholeness,
that's a great one, under fucking utilized. The fact of the matter is you're never going to get 100%. So you might as well ensure that your system is efficient enough that it fucking catches on with the right people at the right time so that it propagates itself. Because like Jay said, every system is going to break down eventually. It doesn't fucking matter. It's always going to break. The only thing you can do is ensure that when it does break, the idea behind it, the idea that built it and started, originated it, goes on past you. And that's, Jay, you were talking about that.
So would you say, okay, so would you say this then? Okay, so hear me out for a second.
Okay.
And so would you say that like the original founding of this country, like the way it started, was the premise was good, and it was a good premise, and it was. I know Jay's going to say something, but
the banks started it. They didn't.
The banks started the problem. I agree, but
but the banks started the war here because they were getting pushed out, so they funded it. So I mean,
but I'm saying like
Alexander
the whole
Hamilton pushing for the war.
It was, but what I'm saying is like the whole idea of what the country was founded on was a good idea. I mean, it was the best that we had at the time.
Sure.
Right. It was the best it was the best we've ever seen in history up until that point. The idea of individual liberty. So what you're saying is that now we need another evolution of those ideas to carry on. Now that we see the flaws that we've found in this system, we need to revamp the system and the way it was ran and fix it in order to make it run better.
I'm not necessarily saying
we're not going to ever be. I don't ever believe that we're ever going to be able to deal with this many people without some form of order.
Yeah, order is spontaneous. We will find it. I'm not saying that the world needs to be total chaos, unlike BK's world right now. But I mean, order is good, but the order has to be in the right direction. If it's off a little bit, like when you're shooting a gun, and if you're off a little bit shooting at like a 9-yard target, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're hitting at 300 yards and that same angle as you hit, you'll hit 20 feet too high or too low.
Well, I can see that with the country. So I mean, when we started off, we were at 1 year and it was dead on. 2 years, it was dead on. 10 years, it was dead on. 100 years, it got off by 10 inches. Now we're going on what? How many years is it? Like, I don't even know how.
250.
250. Now we're going on 250, and we're 100 yards to the fucking left.
Yeah.
So, like, how do we sight this scope back in?
Yeah. So Twitter, like everybody loves and hates Twitter. Everybody's trying to replace Twitter with Getter and Gab and all that stuff, the stuff that we already talked about, but it never happened. Why? Because people were just trying to make Twitter again, right?
Right.
Twitter for Republic. It wasn't any different. So it's like, why switch? We already have Twitter. So yes, there has to be some other new little thing that makes it its own different world. And we could carry on 95% of the ideas that we did have, but somebody has to come up with this crazy cool idea for you to build something new. It has to be slightly different, so it becomes a totally different world. No, you don't look to go build a new world right now, unless you find that crazy guy that figured it out, right? You found the one messiah in this idea that came up with something and everybody followed up to the next spot.
BK is on the side.
So it has to be slightly new, and so new to the point where it feels different, even if you carry on all the new stuff.
But not so new it feels alien.
Yes. Yeah, people like what they know.
So you're talking about, like, if we're using social media as a term, you're talking about going from MySpace to Facebook to Instagram and Twitter and the gradual evolution of the idea. I get it.
And which one of those steps was it was different. It added something to the world that the other stuff didn't have, and then it became its own thing.
It was incremental, but not exponential.
Sure. But the internet was a big thing, and everybody took on that pretty easy. Like the idea of being able to look up anything you want. Let me
ask you this, and this is an idea that I've pondered for a long time. And I was telling somebody the other day, I don't really talk to people about my ideas that much, but like, So what about if it was like if we started our own class within the United States, our own country within a country, our own ideas within ideas.
Okay.
You know, instead of revamping the system like altogether.
We all have Costco cards, and
you know what I'm talking about. You get the idea. I mean,
and we kind of pay. So here it is. Like there's a huge fight with the left and right, and more people seem to be kind of, especially in our world, connected to the right. Right. The left went off wheels. They're doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and we don't agree with what they're doing with the kids and all that stuff. There's too much chaos in that system. And a lot of people are trying to keep them out of our system, right? Like, it's like, we don't want them in our schools. We don't want them, blah, blah, blah. But we can't get rid of them because it's a personality type. This isn't a blank slate thing. We can't just change people who they are. They will become this in with these certain circumstances. So the reason why the cities are so left and the rural areas are so right is because all the left people, all the blue people left for the cities. It was easier to live. The rural areas didn't build walls and keep them out. What they did was they made their life a little bit harder than the city life, and the people that didn't want it, they left. Like there's a book called San Francisco, and he goes through all the people that moved to San Francisco to do drugs. Why do they do drugs there? One, they're not going to get in trouble. Two, they get paid to be there. So let the left, let the blue areas grow and attract those type of people that would want to be in that system. And once they leave, and then you make your system a little bit difficult to be in. If it's a little bit difficult to be in, then it becomes self-segregating. They will move themselves. So all you have to do is build a world in which, you have to work here to be here a little bit. Like if you had a gym or a workout place and you had to go do community service, it's like, you want to sign up, you better put in the responsibility to take in your stuff. You're not going to get people that are weak people, right?
That's kind of like the whole what was it? What was that movie? Starship Troopers, where you had citizenship.
Yeah.
And then you had citizenship, and then you had just regular civilians. You had to put in your time for
movies of all time too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what
you had
do.
to put in your time. So what you're saying is like, okay, so like in order to be, let's just say it's us. In order to be one of us, you have to commit yourself to doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
in order to belong.
You do the X, Y, and Z, and as soon as you do that, you put yourself in a class by yourself, right?
Right.
You take on that responsibility. You take your sovereignty back for this idea. Then you are automatically in a class by yourself. If you keep allowing the system to be in charge of that, responsible for that, then you'll be back in their system.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
And the thing is,
Jay, I think you and I are talking about the exact same thing. I genuinely think at this point,
come after us is what I'm saying. I'm thinking all they're going to do.
That's the only point you and I disagree on. I do believe they will. With whatever means they have at their availability, and that's my point.
So it's
is trying
money,
to
right?
Well, that's going to be one of them. I don't think it's going to be knocking on the doors. I'll be honest with you on that. I don't think it's going to be knocking on the doors. I think they're going to go with money, with misinformation, with ability to transact. Not to get too biblical on it, but mark of the beast type stuff. You will not be able to go into the city and purchase yada, yada, yada. And that's the only reason why I say consolidation may be important here, is because let's be real. You can't personally own, a herd large enough to create your stakes for you. You can't also train yourself on how to be a roofer and a framer and a contractor and a concrete guy and how to run your internet and there's only so many things that you can specialize in one lifetime. So that's why I'm saying I think the community aspect of it is going to be important, because we're going to have to have enough people to have a self-sustaining organism, really, which is what it's going to be able to say when they try to use their force, which, like I said, I don't think it's going to be knocking on the doors and shooting your family in the middle of the night, but they're going to cut you off from all the services that the blue areas are going to have. I think you're going to have the ability to withstand that. I think it's easier withstood with more people than less.
I think what Jay's saying though too is that what you've got to do is you've got to present the lifestyle of, do you want to be ruled in those areas, or do you want, or is the lifestyle of personal responsibility, freedom, and liberty more attractive to you? And then there's people self-sacrifice.
Are you going to get a crazy purple-haired lady teaching kids in an Amish community?
No.
Why?
You might.
Agree.
Why?
I agree with you.
Because they're not going to go live there.
What was the key word you just said?
Are they going to go do it? Are they going to go?
No. The key word you just said was community. The Amish community. You can have an Amish guy in West Virginia. You can have an Amish guy in Washington, PA. You can have an Amish guy in Pittsburgh. They don't have the same effect on what you're talking about as the Amish community in Lancaster, PA. That's why I say I think community is going to be important. Like I said, it doesn't have to be statewide, but I think community is going to be important.
And I'm saying we're already segregated to have that.
We're getting there. We're getting there, and I'd like to keep it going.
Right. I think Jay's right in a way. Jay's on
Jay's
target.
right in more ways than one, for sure.
But the thing is this isn't being done in a purposeful way.
And that's my point. I agree with that, JC, as well.
Spontaneous organization. It's
right. Well,
they'll do it because they were already doing it and it works better. So
I'm not saying there has to be rules. I'm not saying there has to be structure to it. But what I'm saying is like,
it will be a structure.
People who are doing this now, people who are out there doing self-sustainable living, self-sustainable farms, self-sustainable little ranches and stuff like that.
Sure.
The communities that we have of people that are doing that they're pretty small.
Yeah.
And like they're limited to what they're doing because, let's be honest, they're not online because they don't have time.
Right.
They're not on Twitter, they're not on social media, they're not watching YouTube because they're too busy wondering if their cow is going to have the calf and trying to make sure that it's flipped the right way so it doesn't kill the mother and the calf. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they're too busy every day making sure that they're cutting hay for their cows for the winter, like right now, like in the summer. Like they're too busy doing those things, so they don't have hours and hours and hours to sit here and think like, what can we do? Whereas like that's to me where the information comes in of being like, hey, look, there's this group of people and this dude's a vet, okay, and this is what he does and this is what he believes in, and instead of just sitting there with your one cow all night, he's willing to barter with you for this time, and you can do this for him and he'll do this for you. Like, and building those networks of people and having like-minded people find one another within their community, and kind of like
yes.
But like right now I kind of see where we're too spread out, where we might need to be a little bit more centralized. But I think there's enough people in the country that believe in this stuff to where if it was promoted in that way, like if you could find a way to promote that and popularize that kind of a lifestyle, then I could see it working. But
and JC, to be honest with you, I don't even know that you need to promote it to necessarily. But I agree with you that would help. Don't get me wrong. But I don't even know that you need to promote it necessarily. But if you want an example of what I'm talking about, Drew, where do you live?
Oklahoma.
BK, where do you live?
Michigan.
JC.
Mississippi.
Jay. We all know Alabama. Yeah, we all know. I live in West Virginia. Let's just hypothetically say, right, the five of us all lived within 10 miles of each other, right?
Yeah. Right.
How much more could you trust any one of the, and let's say Tuck was here, right? Because we all know why Tuck isn't here tonight. And God bless Matthew, and let's take a moment for Charlie, because honestly, that's I feel for that family, and I'm praying for that family. But if the 5 of us all lived within 10 miles of each other, how much more could we not only rely on each other, build that system up that you're talking about, JC, but also understand that if any one of the 5 of us speaks for the other 5 at a community gathering, at whatever, a community parade, at a community voice your opinion kind of thing, how much more could you accomplish? That's my only point about consolidation, is there is strength in numbers. And like I said, Jay, I completely get the decentralization aspect of it, and these things will arise on their own. I think it would behoove us, though, to plan for that ahead of time.
Yes, and how do we do that? It's not.
That's for smarter guys than me, man.
It's not the community part. You just have to have a successful area. There's already people in my area that are young guys becoming successful. They're finding each other. Like
sure, it is very circumstantial. Guns, germs, and steel, right?
Yeah, so it will. I'm not saying that communities, we don't build communities. We definitely build communities. What I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be. We don't have to go somewhere to do it. We already are.
I agree. I agree with you, Jay. But let's be realistic, and we all know this. And we all know this. We've all seen this since we've been kids. How many times have we seen people try to strike out and do things like this, and the government come and kill people? Look at Ruby Ridge. I mean, like people that are just trying to just mind their own business. Like imagine if all of us got together and decided we wanted to start a community. Let's just imagine.
Would happen.
How?
Who's the one touching kids? Because as much as I disagree with the ATF and the FBI, Koresh was no saint either. No, so I'm not even going to pretend that.
He wasn't. I mean, that dude was crazy.
But also, like, yeah, and Jay, you're right. There, and JC, you mentioned this point earlier too. There is a target whenever you consolidate. I don't deny that at all. But there's some level in there, and I don't know where it is, where it's rather than one person in a neighborhood that feels this way, trying to do it completely decentralized, there is some benefit to whether it's a neighborhood or a community or a county. I don't know where that line lies. There's a benefit to having numbers. What's that?
How big do the communities have to be?
I don't know.
How many people are available in the United States to build these communities? Are you saying a couple thousand? Is that it?
Genuinely, I don't know, and that's a great question. Those are honestly, those are questions.
About 80 million people.
I don't know that. Here, let me ask you this: what was the U.S. Revolution founded on? What, 3%?
It was closer to 20, but yeah, they say 3%, but when you do the math,
let's say 10%. Let's say 10% then. That's between 3 and whatever, 20, right? 10%. Yeah. So 10% of 350 million is 35 million.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. I agree.
Yeah, you don't have to go to all the places that I'm saying it when you have 35 million people.
Agree.
35 million people is enough in wherever we are at.
Do we have 35 million?
I think we have 80 million.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, if you think
what's the LP membership registration?
That we have 80 million people, I can make this shit happen.
You just made our FBI agents freak the fuck out by saying that number right there. Some alphabet boy out there is just like, oh, fuck. We were wrong.
Here's what I'll say. I think ideologically, you may have 50. I'll even grant you 80 million. Ideologically.
Okay. Yep.
Practically, I don't think you have anywhere near that number.
If you have 80 million, if you have 80 million, if you think we have 80 million that believe ideologically,
yeah,
I would say you probably more than likely, realistically, have about 8 million that are willing to do the work.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
8 million.
And
you don't need 5 spots at 8 million people. You could have the whole United States at 8 million people, right where
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Don't be in the cities, and then you're good.
I don't think 80 million is enough to take down a system this big.
You don't have to take it down. You just have to do something different.
I don't think 80 million. I don't think 80 million is enough to withstand what the current system will do to anyone building an alternative system. Better way to phrase that.
Yeah.
That's all. Now again, I could be completely wrong.
This is a damn fascinating conversation. This is like a great conversation.
I don't think it's the size of the Libertarian Party. That's it. It's bigger. The division is way bigger.
I think part of my problem is with this whole thing is the libertarian vision is
it's not gonna happen.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like
it's not.
there is the vision.
The thing is,
the vision is there is no vision.
Well, here it
and
is.
That's why libertarians will never fucking go anywhere, and it's annoying.
No. Okay. So what's the Shakespeare? All's the world's a stage.
And we are merely players.
Yeah, and we all play different parts. The libertarian part, it doesn't have anything to do with taking over and being in charge. What their job is to do is come up with crazy ideas, go try them, and fail over and over and over again. Because, I mean, our group is full of failures. Look at us, right? But all it takes is one of us to be successful like Drew. Well, I mean, look at what Drew's doing. Drew, who is using the Libertarian Caucus and all that stuff, but now he's doing something totally separate out of politics. And
okay. So here's my idea.
It just takes one person to do one little thing, and then once you build that one little thing, then people follow because it works.
Okay, here's my idea. Here's my plan. Here's my plan. I got a plan. Let's all agree that we're going to move to the Ozarks. And we're going to take over the Ozarks. Let's go. I'm serious.
I can get the drug addicts on board.
I've already started in Appalachia, brother. I can't leave at this point.
Let's go to Panama. Let's go to Brazil.
Appalachian is on the rise, man. Trust me.
Yeah, and there's
come on, man. I need people to move to the Ozarks with me. Come on, y'all. Y'all are killing me.
Well, OKC is right there.
No, you know what, and Jay, like we were talking about earlier, I don't think we're far off at all in what we're talking about. I think the only thing that you and I have a discrepancy on is the necessity for consolidation and to what scale. And I don't think it's actually that far off either.
We're consolidating already. People are already moving to Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida.
And I think that's a great thing. Ideological separation to me is a great thing. I hope the ideological separation happens quickly.
Yeah, and how is it happening? It's cities and rural areas.
Sure.
Well, the faster the system crashes, the better off we'll be in the long run.
We don't get a choice.
I know we don't get a choice, but I'm just saying that.
And I'll be honest, I don't even know that it
crash faster. Come on,
JC, I don't even know that it needs to crash. And this is where I agree with Jay 100%. I don't even know that it needs to crash. No. I just think there needs to be alternative structures in place to adopt people who want to opt out of this system.
Mm-hmm. But they have to see, and that's where I'm talking about like promotion of the idea. They have to know that there's another system out there.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in a city and you're stuck in a concrete jungle, all you're gonna hear about rural life is what you hear these people hearing all the time.
Yeah, good.
If you have to have a way to present the life to the people that are in the city in order to make it better.
Okay, so my example of like left-leaning people in rural areas move to cities. Why? Because it's easier for them to live there. The same. So thing
you're saying that they're eventually eventually gonna dissipate its own self. It's gonna be.
No, they're gonna try everything they can to divide us and make us fight about it. But we are separating, and it's hard for people who live in rural areas to live in cities, and it's hard for people who live in cities to live in rural areas. If you have that mindset,
Well, I agree with that. I can never live in a city.
Take care of the separation.
Too long didn't read is gatekeeping is good for both.
But gatekeeping isn't people doing it.
It doesn't have to be. No, it's not active and it's not anthropic. No, you're right. Yeah, it's just strictly It's just strictly circumstantial.
Yep. And if you let nature make it difficult in a certain way, then people will go ahead and separate that way.
And all I'm saying is I'm in favor of helping that process along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't need to actively go, here's a community. All we have to do is like, hey, you are a small business owner. Keep being a small business owner. And because you're doing that, your community is better. And the thing is, here I live in a town of maybe 140,000 people, and it's like 4 towns combined, 140,000 people. But there's a billionaire and like 5 families that are 100 millionaires here. There's a lot of stupid money in this really small town that doesn't have any interstates. And if stuff starts going to hell, these families have already been controlling this area. They're not going to let themselves and their business and their power go away.
Right. But you said that's not actively. I call that actively.
It's already active.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm saying strengthen that.
We already are strength. We already have 80 million people, remember?
I agree. I agree.
Listen, guys, so I'm going to kind of interject here. I got some pizza out there getting cold. So let's get a little closing segment on this topic of conversation. Anybody got a closing argument?
Yeah, BK's right.
There it is. There it is. That is the sound bite. Somebody's gonna have to rip that and just like put that into a video clip.
Fuck, you know what to do, man.
I want to see that shit all over Twitter constantly.
So yeah, Tuck needs I need the video of that.
Yeah. Oh no,
BK is right.
All right, listen, that was not cool. All right, I told you
that was amazing. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Dude, there's like fucking 12 of the bastards now, and I'm pissed.
I've got 5 saved on my phone.
I'll see a fucking I'll see something. I'll click on the comments, and I'm going through, and oh motherfucker, it just ruins it. And I throw my phone down, and I'm like, those fucking pricks.
Hey, by the way, I know you called me an asshole the other day.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're an asshole. I don't know what the fuck you want me to do.
Shit, guys. Well, man, I love all you guys just so much.
Love you too, brother.
You bring a lot of value.
It was fun, man. Thanks for hosting.
Always the best, honestly. Always the best.
We need to do this again sooner than we did, because I think we went like 8 months since our last one. We don't need to do that shit again.
We need to not only have a Dad's Roundtable sooner than later, we also need to have an in real life Dad's Roundtable meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down.
Out, man.
I think centrally, probably Tuck is probably the most centrally located.
Just go to Tuck's house. Don't tell him.
Yep.
Just show up.
He don't have a choice.
Fuck yes. He'd love it, man.
I can only imagine how just fucking excited he'd be about that.
Yeah.
Same time.
I owe him a bottle of bourbon anyway, so
yeah.
I owe him a bottle.
Yeah.
Jay bought him a bottle already.
See, he wasn't even here, and he don't even know he's in for it.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys.
Good night, guys.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, there you go. Wanted to say a big thank you to all the guys for coming on, especially JC for making his first time appearance on the Dad Roundtable. He will definitely be back, hopefully, for future ones. And man, thank you guys for tuning in. I know I always talk about the importance of finding like-minded people to surround yourself with, but I'm going to continue saying it, man. Like, these men bring so much value to my life. I've gotten to know them on a personal level, and an in-person meetup will be happening eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, you know. But yeah, these guys have been there for me through some stuff, and likewise I've been there for them. Find you that, man. I don't know where you hang out, what you do, you know, church, anywhere else. Just find you like-minded people. It's so very important. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say on that. I love you guys so much. Thanks a lot for, you know, hanging out with me, talking to me. And I wanted to introduce you guys to the song of the week. This is Mr. Josh O'Keefe, and the song is called Keeping Me Going. Just a really great tune. I know you guys will love this. And I love y'all so much. And we will see you next week.
No more. I don't want to disappoint my pa. I smell like a rancid Darby bar. And I got no gas for my gypsy heart. But you're the only thing keeping me going. You're the only thing keeping me going. Well, this world, it's gone down the drain. I'm on a psychiatric couch again. The pain pills do not ease the pain. And Jesus Christ, I forgot his name. But you're the only thing keeping me going. Yeah, you're the only thing keeping me going. The laws of beauty you do defy. You're my only alibi. The hook and needle to my eye. If I lost you, babe, I would lose my life. 'Cause you're the only thing keeping me going. You're the only thing keeping me going.